number flashed across financial screens, and for a brief moment, even seasoned analysts fell silent. $800 billion. Not the value of a nation's economy, not the budget of a global alliance, but the personal wealth of one individual. It was a figure so vast it instantly changed the way power, influence, and the future of technology would be discussed from this point forward. Behind that number lies a decision that reaches far beyond money. Rockets, artificial intelligence, satellites, and energy infrastructure have been pulled into a single vision, one that now stretches from Earth's surface into orbit. This is not just a story about wealth, it is a story about who controls the tools that will shape humanity's next chapter. And what happens when those tools are placed in the hands of one person? According to Forbes, Elon Musk has now become the first person in history to be worth more than $800 billion, following a deal that merged his rocket company SpaceX with his artificial intelligence venture, xAI. The transaction, announced publicly on a Monday evening, valued the combined company at approximately $1.25 trillion and instantly rewrote the record books of global wealth. Forbes estimates that Musk's personal fortune surged by $84 billion almost overnight, pushing his net worth to roughly $852 billion. No monarch, oil tycoon, or industrialist in history has ever reached this level of personal wealth. The scale is unprecedented, and the implications stretch far beyond finance. At the center of this deal is a strategic idea that has been forming for years. SpaceX, the private aerospace company that transformed rocket launches from government monopolies into reusable commercial systems, now formally absorbs xAI, Musk's artificial intelligence company. The merger is designed to give xAI something its competitors do not have: direct access to space-based infrastructure. Musk has argued that the future of artificial intelligence cannot be sustained solely on Earth. Training advanced AI systems requires massive computing power, and that computing power demands electricity on an enormous scale. Data centers already strain local grids, raise energy prices, and fuel environmental debates. According to Musk, even in the near term, terrestrial energy solutions will struggle to meet AI's appetite without imposing serious costs on communities and ecosystems. His answer is radical but consistent with his past thinking. Move the infrastructure off the planet. By placing AI data centers in orbit, powered by near-constant solar energy, Musk believes operating costs could drop dramatically. In space, solar panels are not limited by night cycles, weather, or land constraints. He has claimed that within the next 2 to 3 years, space-based processing could become the most cost-effective way to scale artificial intelligence with minimal maintenance and no competition for Earth's resources. This vision puts SpaceX and xAI in direct competition with some of the most powerful technology companies on the planet. OpenAI, Google, and Meta are all racing to dominate artificial intelligence, but all remain fundamentally Earthbound. They depend on national power grids, regional regulations, and physical land. SpaceX, by contrast, already has the launch capability, satellite experience, and orbital infrastructure to make Musk's idea more than a concept. Before the merger, Musk's wealth was already heavily concentrated in his private companies. He owned an estimated 42% stake in SpaceX, valued at around $336 billion following a tender offer that priced the company at $800 billion late last year. He also held roughly 49% of xAI, valued at about $122 billion after a private fundraising round earlier this year. The merger changed those numbers dramatically. SpaceX was valued at approximately $1 trillion, while xAI retained a valuation near $250 billion. Forbes now estimates Musk owns around 43% of the combined entity, a stake worth roughly $542 billion on its own. That makes SpaceX by far his most valuable asset. Tesla remains a major component of his wealth as well. Musk owns about 12% of the electric vehicle maker, worth an estimated $178 billion, along with stock options valued at roughly $124 billion more. And that does not include a controversial, record-breaking compensation package approved by Tesla shareholders that could, under certain performance conditions, grant Musk stock worth up to $1 trillion before taxes. Those conditions depend on Tesla achieving extraordinary growth milestones, including multiplying its market capitalization more than 8 times over the next decade. Supporters see this as a powerful incentive structure. Critics see it as another example of how Musk's influence over his companies allows him to shape outcomes in ways no other CEO can. This is not the first time Musk has merged his own companies. Less than a year earlier, he combined xAI with his social media platform X, formerly known as Twitter, in a deal that valued xAI at $80 billion and X at $33 billion. The valuation closely matched what Musk paid for Twitter in 2022, excluding debt, raising questions about how these figures were calculated. In each case, Musk has effectively acted as both buyer and seller. That dual role has sparked debate among investors and analysts, some of whom argue that the valuations reflect Musk's narrative power as much as traditional financial metrics. Others counter that private markets have willingly accepted these numbers, signaling confidence in his long-term vision. That debate may soon move into the public arena. SpaceX is widely expected to pursue an initial public offering later this year. If that happens, the company and its internal deals will face scrutiny from regulators, institutional investors, and the global public. Transparency requirements will replace private negotiations, and the true market value of Musk's empire will be tested in real time. The speed of Musk's wealth accumulation is as striking as the total itself. In just 4 months, he crossed 4 historic milestones. He became the first person worth $500 billion in October, as Tesla's stock surged after he stepped away from his role in the U.S. government's Department of Government Efficiency to refocus on the company. In mid-December, he reached $600 billion after private investors doubled SpaceX's valuation from August levels. Just days later, his net worth passed $700 billion after a court decision restored Tesla stock options that had previously been voided. And now, with the SpaceX xAI merger, he has crossed $800 billion, leaving every other billionaire far behind. For comparison, the world's second richest person, Google co-founder Larry Page, is estimated to be worth around $281 billion. Musk's lead is approximately $578 billion. In practical terms, that means he is closer to becoming the world's first trillionaire than anyone else has ever been to catching up with him. The concentration of wealth on this scale raises profound questions. What does it mean when one individual controls resources comparable to the budgets of major nations? How much influence should a single person have over technologies that shape communication, transportation, energy, and now artificial intelligence? Supporters argue that Musk's track record justifies the concentration. They point to reusable rockets, global satellite internet, electric vehicles, and rapid innovation that governments and traditional corporations failed to deliver. In their view, Musk's wealth is a byproduct of value creation, not exploitation. Critics see a different picture. They warn that merging space infrastructure with AI development could create monopolistic advantages that are difficult to regulate. They question whether private control over orbital computing resources could undermine international norms and exacerbate inequality between nations and corporations. There are also ethical questions about accountability. Space is governed by international treaties designed for a very different era. Artificial intelligence is regulated unevenly across countries, if at all. When these two domains intersect under a single corporate umbrella, oversight becomes complex and fragmented. For ordinary people, the story feels distant yet deeply relevant. The electricity powering AI affects energy prices. The platforms shaped by AI influence information, politics, and culture. The satellites launched into orbit affect communication access and surveillance. Decisions made in boardrooms and launch facilities ripple outward into everyday life. Musk's vision of moving AI infrastructure into space is still largely theoretical, but the resources behind it are now very real. With SpaceX's launch cadence, xAI's computing ambitions, and a balance sheet larger than most governments, the barriers that once made such ideas unrealistic are rapidly falling. As the world watches, admiration and anxiety exist side by side. This moment forces a reckoning with how progress is funded, who directs it, and who bears its consequences. The rise of a single individual to such financial and technological dominance is not just a business story, it is a political, environmental, and philosophical one. Question now is not whether Elon Musk can push boundaries. History suggests that he will. The question is whether the systems around him are prepared to manage the scale of what he is building. As we look ahead, the future feels both thrilling and uncertain. Will space-based AI reduce pressure on Earth's resources, or will it deepen divides between those with access to orbit and those without? Will unprecedented private wealth accelerate solutions to global problems, or concentrate power in ways that democratic systems struggle to contain? This moment will be studied for decades, not just as a milestone of wealth, but as a turning point in how humanity organizes innovation and authority. The numbers are staggering, but the implications are even larger. What do you think this new era of space-based artificial intelligence means for the world? Is this the next leap forward, or a warning sign we're not ready to face? Share your thoughts and join the conversation shaping what comes next.